insomnia, perfectionism, control, obsession, compulsion, fear. Fear is one of the major driving points behind insomnia, and it's this fear which leads to these obsessive, ritualistic behaviors people do with their sleep, and this fear which leads to this obsessive thought patterns people have when it comes to their sleep, where their insomnia is right up in front of their face every single day. Well, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down what I think the 4 major fears that people have when it comes to their insomnia, and helping you change your thought patterns around them so that you can change your behaviors around these thought patterns and start sleeping fantastically. So this is from my work with thousands of clients and through my understanding with having and suffering from insomnia for 20 years of my life. So what would I say the 4 major fears when it comes to insomnia are? First one, probably if you've been on my channel for a while, you're going to have heard this one before. Fear of the bed and the bedroom. Second is the fear of, if I don't sleep tonight, I'm going to have a dreadful day tomorrow. Fear of that fatigue you're going to get the following day. Third one, I'd say health anxiety, especially with people with OCD. This is dreadful, terrible, awful things going to happen to me in the long run if I don't sleep. And the fourth is that more deep, visceral fear of I'm not good enough. If I didn't have this horrible, terrible condition, I would be a better farmer, a better employee, a better, that kind of where you put your life in a box, limited your life because of your insomnia, and now you feel less than because of it. So I'm going to be tackling all these fears and hopefully just kind of helping you untangle all of them, step back from them, and just feel so much better by the end of this video. Well, let's look at that first bit. I'm not going to go too deep into it because you've heard about this before if you've been on my channel for a while. If not, links in the description to go deeper. There, fear of the bed and the bedroom. Spend hours in bed fighting, forcing, pleading with better sleep. Extended amount of time you spend in bed to try and give yourself more sleep opportunity. Incredibly intuitive when you've got insomnia because you think the more time you spend in bed, better you asleep. Opposite is true, just waters down your body clock and sleep drive and gives you lots of time in bed in that fight or flight stress response. So this becomes a conditioned response where you start fearing going to bed. Imagine I said you've got to go to a torture chamber in 2 hours. Doesn't matter how comfy that torture chamber is, anxiety, obsession, fear, worry, going to spike through the roof. Literally reducing the amount of time you spend in bed and in the middle of the night watching TV, reading a book, doing anything to bring you out of that anxious, stressful, worried place. Incredibly helpful to you. Again, not going to delve in too deep. Links in the description. So number 2, the fear of not sleeping. If you don't sleep, you're going to have a dreadful day tomorrow. You're going to feel tired. You're going to feel fatigued. Very common fear with people with insomnia. And it kind of stems from the false belief that you are chronically sleep deprived when you've got insomnia. It's simply not true. Unless you're dropping off to sleep in your chair, unless you're dropping off to sleep during this video, you are not chronically sleep deprived. People with insomnia strangely never feel sleepy. They feel anxious, they feel fatigued, they feel tired but wired, like they've had 20 espressos. But that lovely sleepy feeling that you get is not something with people with insomnia experience because they do not have chronic sleep deprivation. So Navy SEALs, for example, during their hell week, their training week, their selection week, they're only allowed 1 hour of sleep during this time for a whole week per day. And literally within the second, third day, they'd be running, dropping off to sleep, bullets hanging over their head, dropping off to sleep, swimming when they would, drown, drop off to sleep. And so this is because these people are chronically sleep deprived. So just that reassurance, the brain will always find a way to get its core amount of sleep is incredibly helpful to you. The brain will always find a way to function the next day. I had, for example, chronic insomnia for 20 years. I'm still here, I didn't catch fire. Everything is fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Now, did I feel anxious? Did I feel stressed? Did I feel fatigued? Yes, but I was still able to function the next day. And so just that real kind of deep understanding that if it can go so far and no further is really kind of helpful to you. And just that kind of understanding that insomnia, as in OCD, is a control issue. You're desperate to get control over something you have zero control over. which is forcing yourself to sleep in the given moment. But really, if you can shift that focus into what you do have control over, which is what you choose to do during the daytime. If you wake up after a poor night of sleep and you followed through by having an appalling day, spend the whole day obsessing, Andrew Huberman, looking for the next sleep supplement, it's just going to feed into the obsession, the control, the fear, the worry around it. So the behaviors you choose to do during the daytime are incredibly important. It's why I use a lot of exposure therapy on my course, because if I can prove to the brain that you're not going to shy away from your insomnia, there is things you do within your control. The brain tells you after a poor night of sleep, do far, far less. You expose yourself to this fear by doing more things during the daytime. Are you going to feel amazing? Are you going to feel fantastic? No, but you still can do them, and really do have that acceptance. Everyone's kind of saying you've got to have perfect sleep. You've got to have 8 hours of sleep. You've got to have this. You can still function the next day after a poor night of sleep. And naturally, you don't want to be doing this year after year, which is all what this channel is about, to actually help improve your sleep. But if you can take away the fear of that poor night of sleep, focus on what you do have control over. I say this all the time. Great sleep isn't built at night time or with nostril breathing at night. It's built the second you wake up. And so if you really shift that focus away from that poor night of sleep and actually doing things that you would do normally during the daytime, even if you haven't slept so well, suddenly that fear of not sleeping comes down. You've changed your behaviors and what you do in the daytime, and this will really help insomnia not be this thing that you're obsessed and think about all day long. It puts it right in the background there. So yeah, how you approach your day after a poor night of sleep is so important to help in dealing with that thought pattern, as is the acceptance of a poor night of sleep. Obsessive thoughts, that teaching of relentless acceptance, accepting whatever is incredibly important thought pattern to have. The other fear, number 3, if I don't sleep or if this continues, I'm going to have anxiety, I'm going to have depression, I'm going to have heart disease, I'm going to have cancer, I'm going to have these really chronic long-term health concerns. Well, the first ones, let's address the mental health aspect when it comes to this. Anxiety, depression. Yes, these two things have been proven with insomnia. 18 times more likely to suffer from anxiety, 9 times more likely to suffer from depression. However, what science has also shown is that once you've got your sleep back on track, anxiety, depression will massively improve or be eliminated entirely. It's often, insomnia is thought of as a symptom of anxiety, depression, but anxiety, depression appears a symptom of insomnia. So if you can get your sleep back on track, which is you found the right path, this channel is going to help you do that. That is going to massively improve as well. But let's look at the real kind of long-term health concerns. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes. The good news is none of these have ever been proven. And that's because it is absolutely impossible to prove that insomnia causes any long-term health concern. Because in order to do that, you'd need 1,000 people. 500 of them, the control group, you'd have to give perfect sleep to for the rest of their life. 500 of them, you'd have to give insomnia to for the rest of their life. And you'd follow both groups for 40, 50 years to see if the prevalence of cancer is more prevalent in the group with insomnia. And of course, this study has never and will never be conducted. Insomnia, there's such a massive industry around it. Billions and billions of dollars. If you can't sleep, or if you're not getting your 7 or 8 hours, buy this supplement, change your mattress, have this wonder food, stop doing this, limiting your life. And it just creates more obsession around it. Money, money, money. That's all this kind of industry is, but not actually creating any kind of helpful changes to your sleep, just driving and feeding the obsession around it. So I really want to get rid of that obsession now. Your body will always get the core amount of sleep that it needs. And no, you do not need to be grabbing for that next supplement bottle or changing your mattress. And you will not get any long-term health concern from this condition, if there's any doubt in your mind, and this is something, a thought that's obsessively turning and spinning in your brain, have a look at the article that I put in the link in this description. It's by Alexi Guzzi. Absolutely fantastic, and it's going to alleviate all your fears when it comes to this. Sorry guys, I am hot. I'm in the Philippines and it never drops below 30 centigrade. So if I'm sweating on camera, please forgive me, but there's not a lot I can do about it. All right, so point number 4, which is more of that deep visceral fear that comes to insomnia. What if I'm not good enough? Insomnia has limited my life. It's prevented me from being the father that I should be. If I didn't have this condition, I would be so much further in life with my finances. If I didn't have this, I'd have had that promotion at work, I'd have started that business, I'd have had a better relationship with my family, with my kids. And I think just that kind of real kind of understanding that all this is just a symptom of the condition. Everyone with insomnia limits their life. Everyone with insomnia kind of steps back from it. And it's why with a lot of my teachings and with a lot of my programs, I give people that fearless approach when it comes to their sleep. I ask people to deliberately start doing things that they would usually start shying away from, just to kind of have their shoulders back against this condition, their head high raised against it, and to stop insomnia pushing them around. And when you stop insomnia pushing you around, that's when the obsession around it comes down as well. Incredibly helpful. But just that realization, all these things I've just said, they are just a symptom of this condition. And as soon as you start down the right path, which is what this entire channel is, and what my program on sleepseek.com is, you'll find that your head will raise, you'll start sleeping better, and that low self-confidence, that low self-esteem, that low feeling of lacking and self-worth and that you're not good enough, that will vastly improve as well when you have that fearless approach to this condition. And number 5, little Brucey bonus when it comes to your sleep. Often, especially with obsessive behaviors, people kind of get little niggles in their head, these thoughts that creep up in the middle of the night. I'm not going to say anything specifically. I'm going to say a ridiculous one because I don't want to cause you to have any more obsessive thoughts. But what if I go to bed with a beanie, with a green beanie, then I'm going to have the worst sleep ever in my life. I'm never going to be able to overcome my insomnia. And people with these obsessive thought patterns, whenever they kind of get these thoughts, the new one is always, have you noticed, the worst one they've ever had. All the 99 obsessive thought patterns you've had that creep up in the middle of the night, they were kind of dessert ones, they were baby ones. But the green beanie that I'm wearing now, this is the big one. If I wear a green beanie to bed, I can never, ever, ever sleep, ever in my entire life. This is the worst one I've ever had. But number 99, the one that I thought that time was the worst one I've ever had, that if my nails are over a certain length, I'm never going to sleep. No, that's not the real one anymore. And the one that I had before that if I'm wearing, a green eye mask, I'm never going to be able to sleep. Or if I'm in a brown bed, that was number 96, I'm never going to be able to sleep. All of these thought patterns that you've had, none of them have ever been real. It's just kind of that awareness that your brain in the middle of the night is incredibly creative. It's always going to want to catastrophize. The amygdala, the problem solving, the rational part of the brain is shut down in the middle of the night. So obsessive thought patterns, they become very vivid. They become very real. So if you're on number 100, where suddenly you've had this new thought that's entered your brain, just that awareness, but the root is always the same. It's always fear-based. It's always this thought that's actually creating it rather than the thing itself. It feels very real. If I wear a green beanie to bed, I'm never going to sleep at that time. But just that awareness that none of these things you've ever thought in the past have ever come true. And that awareness that if we really look at the data here, that's not going to come true either, is incredibly helpful. But if you kind of feel yourself spiraling, if you have these thought patterns in the middle of the night, The compulsion is to lie there, challenge them, fight with them, reframe them, try and kind of push them out of your brain. Really not helpful. So this is when that couch control is incredibly helpful. Sitting up in bed, watching some TV, blue light won't kill you, watching a podcast, doing anything to bring you out of this heightened state, and then turn it off when you feel sleepy again is incredibly helpful. So sleepz.com for a step-by-step program if you would like a clear pathway out of this. But yeah, the obsession, control, fear, worry, this is all fear driven. And so relentless acceptance, exposure to the things that you're scared of, this is how you overcome your insomnia. But for that real kind of advice how to do it, rebuild your pattern of sleep. Don't spend ages in bed fighting for some cleaning sleep. Get stuck into your life. I hope this video has been helpful. See you in the next one. Bye bye bye.